This week on UND Insider Weekly, Brendan O'Donnell nets his first career hat trick on Saturday as men's hockey gets a split against Minnesota Duluth. Women's hockey starts their second half of the season with a split against Syracuse, and men's and women's basketball both dropped games against Sacramento State and Portland State. Men's basketball coach Brian Jones joins us in the Coach's Corner to talk about the progress of his team's season so far, and the panel previews all the big games coming up this weekend. All this week on UND Insider Weekly. Welcome to UND Insider Weekly alongside Brad Schlossman and Tom Miller from the Grand Forks Herald and Paul Ralston from UND Athletics. I'm Tim Hennessy. Busy weekend, gentlemen, on the hard court, which is basketball, and on the ice, which is hockey. For North Dakota, some games at home, some games on the road. Where do we want to start? Let's start with the Thursday night games. There were basketball games, and UND, well, pretty easy to say, men and women, they lost all 4 games this weekend, so we start right there at the Betty. Very odd that I don't remember the last time where, you know, in women's and men's basketball, we lost all the games on the weekend. That's, you know, you'd have to go back a ways to find that when that last happened. I did wake up on Sunday and the Earth was still rotating around the sun and the Earth was still spinning. So
how do you know?
Well, we think so anyway. The Earth is pear-shaped if you have Columbus. Yeah, but it was a very odd weekend. You know, you look at the games on the men's side here at the Betty that the fans got to see. It was games that North Dakota got out to a pretty good start against Sacramento State, managed Sacramento State's talented guards defensively pretty well. But it was some rebounding issues, and that has been the big storyline here on the men's side through these 2 home games, but just couldn't quite garner enough momentum when they made a couple of big momentum plays down the stretch inside the final minutes of the game. They would make a great play. You'd think they would kind of parlay it into maybe a 4 to 6 to 8, 7 point run or something. Never happened. Sac State was able to hang around. Against Portland State has just so much athleticism around the floor, and when you have rebounding woes like they're having, those athletes are going to go get the basketball and limit your opportunities, and that hurt North Dakota as the game wore on, where they got off to a bad start on Saturday, tried to reel Portland State back in, just could never get it back up over the hump.
Yeah, the Sacramento State game was interesting. You know, all the fans got kind of excited there towards the end on that big kind of surge UND had. Looked like UND was going to be able to take that game when Jerron Nash got a steal and dunk. And then it just flipped in a hurry on, one late shot.
On the women's side, Tom, I thought it's one of those things where there's always a team that you have trouble with. And I think North Dakota has trouble, the women's team with Sacramento State. So I guess that wasn't a real shock that they got beat in that one. I guess it was more of a jolt a little bit when they lost on Saturday night to Portland State. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'd agree. You know, Sacramento State, it was one of those things, you look at the box score, and some of that can be chalked up to bad luck when a team that is struggling to score from anywhere, really, shoots 50% on threes, 9 of 18. They have a pretty good ability to get teams hurrying their pace and out of their comfort zone. And like you said, the Portland State was more of the head scratcher, kind of, maybe there is some long-term issues that need to be squared away, because Sac State is so unique. You could kind of chalk that up as just, you bid into Sac State's style. But losing to Portland State too, maybe some of that is a hangover from the Sac State emotionally. But I can't imagine that sits well with Coach Brewster.
And you look at the ramifications for both teams in this situation. Number one, there's less games in conference play this year in the Big Sky than there have been in years past. And so I think, your margin for error, depending on what your goals are, if the women's goal is to host again, those are 2 crucial games. You'll probably look back at the end of the year that, they hope that don't come back to bite them. On the men's side, boy, you just really hate to give up serve at home at all, because the race is going to be that tight now. They did add a spot to the Big Sky tournaments, 8 teams, but it's unlike most conferences where everybody gets in, only a certain amount do, 8 of the 12, and so it really kind of puts them into the crunch mode now on the men's side about where can we pick up enough wins to make sure we get at least a chip, a chair, and a chance going into the Big Sky and getting into the Big Sky Conference tournament.
On the ice, it was a split for both the men and the women. Start with the men. Friday night against Minnesota Duluth, and Brad Schlossman, you've talked about Minnesota Duluth as the #1 team in the country for several weeks, as a matter of fact, and they proved you right on Friday night. They're a very good hockey team, although North Dakota didn't play very well.
Yeah, I think that's just about it. But Duluth plays with a lot of pace, and I think when you don't play for 4 weeks in a real game, and then you have to come out and play at that type of speed, that they created a lot of the problems. Their forward lines are super deep. I think if you look at like top 6 forwards, you can maybe say Miami might have the most dynamic top 6, but if you go top 12, it's tough to beat what Duluth can throw at you, and they can give you a lot of problems. And actually, I thought their D-core played really well Friday night. They really limited UND's chances. Saturday night, maybe not so much. UND put a lot of pressure on them Saturday and turned things a little bit.
Yeah, it was like Duluth played the way they wanted to play on Friday night, and North Dakota played the way they wanted to play and possessed the puck on Saturday night. It was kind of a turn flip-flop. The interesting thing on Friday night, Tom, was that we were talking about before this, North Dakota was really one bad turnover away from maybe a tie in that game.
Yeah, that's the impact of Zane McIntyre. I think you're seeing throughout the year is, Duluth was kind of taking the shot total to UND for a while there, and Zane kept that thing, I believe, at 2-1 there. He made a pretty fantastic save late in the period in the second when he faced about 18 shots, I think, and gave the team a chance to win. As it turned out, they didn't really give it a go, but Saturday he kept that score close early when he got tested, and then gave him an opportunity to win a game.
And just from watching the 2 games, you look at Friday night, it just seemed to me like Duluth, every time a North Dakota player ended up with the puck on a stick near center ice, it seemed like there was a Bulldog player basically right on him, taking away any time and space basically immediately, and it led to a lot of North Dakota turnovers basically on Friday. Then you flip it on Saturday. I thought Duluth were the ones maybe giving it away a little bit too much, and North Dakota ended up with a few opportunities, quality opportunities. Would you say, Brad?
Oh, I think Carson Soucy is probably going to have some nightmares after Saturday night. The play that Mark McMillan dipped around him, and then Connor Gorder taking the puck off his stick and feeding Brendan O'Donnell for a goal. So I think that's the type of things that UND wants to do. They want to put pressure on their D-core. When they swept the Bulldogs last year in Amsoil, that's exactly what they did. They caused a lot of problems for that D-core.
It was interesting on Saturday night that Coach Hackstall said earlier in the week that as the upperclassmen go on this team, that's how we're going to go in the second half. They were pretty much non-existent. In fact, they'd been non-existent for 3 or 4 games as far as totaling points. Saturday night, they were the difference, weren't they?
O'Donnell with the hat trick. Connor Gorder made a great play to steal that one from Soucy and set up O'Donnell. McMillan with a great play for a goal. Parks was good. Like you said, just a lot of the seniors that stepped up for them that night.
Did a lot of good things, no doubt about it. Then the women played Syracuse, team from the CHA, and really, I guess I would have written 2 wins in the books on that one, but they went on Saturday and dropped one on Sunday. What went on there?
That was one of those classic games. They outshot them really badly, outchanced them badly, and couldn't get a second one to go. They gave up a couple of goals early. The second one, you don't want to give that one up right at the start of the period to go down 2-0, and they just had so many chances, breakaways, odd man rushes, and just the goaltender played phenomenal. They did put some good shots on goal, and she, was able to make the saves, but you do want to be able to put some of those chances away, and obviously it hurts not having Becca Kohler. She's one of those players that can snipe a puck and change the game, but you got to tip your cap to Syracuse's goalie. She was fantastic.
That's how the weekend went in both basketball and hockey. And coming up, men's basketball has entered a crucial stretch of the season as they enter conference play. Head coach Brian Jones will join us in the Coach's Corner next.
The great thing about snowboarding is the adventure. All day long, you're finding different ways of doing different things, and it's never the same. I don't mind snowboarding alone, but if you've got your friends up there on the mountain and you guys can all cruise down together, it's a really, really fun time. Snowboarding has been really fun and really rewarding for me, and I want it to be fun and rewarding for my customers as well. I'm Lindsay McKinstry, and I'm one of the snowboard experts at Shields.
Cities Area Transit. We go where you go.
Did you know that riding the city bus is free for UND and Northland students?
I ride the bus so I don't have to find a parking spot, and then I'm always within an easy walking distance to all of my classes.
I'm going green, so I ride my bike everywhere. But when the weather turns bad, I take the bus. And why not? It's free.
Cities Area Transit. Enjoy the ride.
sounds like
the only thing he cares about is meals. You know? Are we feeding him today?
Who's that?
Powell. Oh.
UND fans, come out to the Betty on Saturday afternoon as North Dakota men's basketball takes on Big Sky Conference foe Northern Colorado at 2 p.m. Get your tickets today at the Ralph Engelstad Arena box office or online at UNDsports.com.
Watch over 400 live events with the free Watch Big Sky app. Not able to travel with your team? Watch road games from home. Use the extensive archive to catch up on any action you may have missed. Watch Big Sky is available on your phone or tablet. Get it now on the Apple App Store or Google Play. WatchBigSky.com.
UND Insider Weekly is sponsored by Shields and Grand Forks Cities Area Transit.
This weekend, men's basketball finishes up their 2-week stretch at home as they face Northern Colorado this weekend. Action starts this Saturday at 2 o'clock. You can get your tickets at the Ralph Engelstad Arena box office or online at the new UNDsports.com. The head coach of the men's basketball team, Brian Jones, is with us. Brian, thanks for stopping by the old set today.
Well, thanks for having me. I think it's the first time I've been here all year.
Is it really?
Yeah. Wow. Good to be here.
Yeah, nice to be here. Nice to see you here. You've had a couple of tough ones at home and another tough one coming up on Saturday. And we were talking before this about, is this a must-win thing this early in the season?
I think so. I think so. One, because it's a home game, and two, it's just to get our rhythm going. I don't really like to put that on to me a younger team. With a lot of new faces going through this for the first time. But I feel it is. And we challenged our guys after the game. We let them know we felt that's where we were at. And I expect our guys to totally respond and have a great work week of practice and be ready to compete on Saturday.
You look at the previous two games, obviously you and the team took it hard to lose two at home the way you did. Certainly a last-second shot to one of the league's best players on Thursday, and a Portland State team that's really athletic. But there are also positive notes that you saw in that game, or in those games, that you can say, hey, we're still doing this well. We just need to get better at a few other things along the way.
Well, I mean, the biggest thing is the effort there. That's what I've been extremely intrigued and honestly, after watching the games, one thing we need to get better, we know that, and that's rebounding. And it's not just the bigs, it's the guards too. Every one of those guys at their positions gave up some easy baskets on the backboards. Offensively, I thought we had great pace to us, great rhythm. We shot it at a high rate. We took care of the basketball. But defensively, we are guarding the initial action very well. But you got to be able to finish a play with a stop, and that's a defensive rebound. That's a mindset. It's the techniques there. We're rebounding, we're checking out, we're doing all things, but you still have to go get the ball with two hands and go get the ball in traffic. So, but is the effort there? Yes, it's there. Our guys fly around, they play hard. But once you start losing effort, you got bigger problems.
Against Sacramento State, I thought it was kind of encouraging to see Carson Shanks offensively. Is he one of those guys who could turn into one of the better big guys in the Big Sky?
I see it happening if he continues to me, it's his growth will be based on his strength and conditioning. He's got a super skill set and his just patience with himself. Like most young big people, they're so hard on themselves. They got to give themselves a chance to grow, to play through mistakes. And just like anything, he's going to have some ups and downs. I thought for the weekend he was pretty strong offensively. We got to challenge him to be better on the backboards defensively, and he'll be willing to do that. But we need him to show what he's shown us so we can have an inside-outside look. Those are the good teams in this league that give you both looks, a Montana, a Weber, an Eastern Washington. They give you a perimeter look, but also they got a low post look, and that's what we're going to try to continue to develop.
he seemed to be the most positive thing that when I talk to people about it is they came out with kind of wowed by his performance and his potential. Huh?
Yeah, it's there. Again, sitting a year and a half off, he's still getting his rhythm. He's, 5 games in? So, yeah, I mean, I've been very pleased with him, but some aspects, but the other things as a coach, we got to challenge him because he's capable of doing better. But it's still a process. I think what we've seen from an offense production standpoint is definitely what he can give us. I think he can give us more, but I know he can give us a better consistent effort on the backboards.
You talked about guarding that first action defensively real well. One of the things I notice about this team is you got a lot of guys that are just good guys in and around the court, but they're naturally quiet. They're not natural talkers, and communicating and talking is so important in defense, especially as the possession goes on, don't you think?
It is, and especially in the second half where we've had our lulls. We're away from the bench where the bench is yelling at them, where the coaches are yelling at them, and let them know where they need to be if they relax mentally. That's where they have to grow. We have a couple guys where this team, when Terrell is off the floor, and where he got into foul trouble Saturday afternoon, who is the guy to bring that energy? I think Q can do it, but it can't just be him. It has to be multiple guys. So that's where this team, again, they're great kids. We love coaching them. You love to be around them, but they have to get out of their comfort zone with their voices.
Talk about Northern Colorado for a second, your upcoming opponent on Saturday.
Well, they're predicted to be a fairly upper tier team. Got a lot of pieces back from last year's team. They lose Barden, who was their undersized 4, but everybody else is a shooter. But they replaced that shooter with an Air Force transfer who's just as talented, just as tall. They have, again, great guard play coming back in this building. Our guards have been tested so much early in this league play, and it's just another team that can beat you. They got 2 guys who can beat you because they're that good offensively.
Is anybody else in this league as young as you guys?
I think Idaho State's got a lot of new faces. The thing with our team, we're young from this aspect. They're young playing together. We got some juniors, but they're young playing together. The teams we saw this last weekend in Portland State and Sac State, they've been together for quite a while. They trust one another. They have that rhythm with one another. So I think that's why you're seeing the success you saw from those 2 teams.
Very nice to have you on. Appreciate it, and best of luck on Saturday, okay? Coach Brian Jones with the UND men's basketball team. And after the break, a lot of big conference matchups are on the schedule this weekend. We'll preview those coming up next.
UND fans, come out to the Betty on Saturday afternoon as North Dakota men's basketball takes on Big Sky Conference foe Northern Colorado at 2 p.m. Get your tickets today at the Ralph Engelstad Arena box office or online at undsports.com.
Play with Des Bryant?
No. What happened?
Was it a catch or is it not a catch?
It was a catch.
Legally, it isn't a catch. I heard.
Cities Area Transit. We go where you go.
Did you know that riding the city bus is free for UND and Northland students?
I ride the bus so I don't have to find a parking spot, and then I'm always within an easy walking distance to all of my classes.
I'm going green, so I ride my bike everywhere. But when the weather turns bad, I take the bus. And why not? It's free.
Cities Area Transit. Enjoy the ride.
Here's to everyone who believes in competition and good sportsmanship, who knows it's not about the trophies or the medals, but rather the lessons learned. For those who understand, it's not whether you win or lose, just that you give your best. So go ahead, lace them up, take the field, have fun, and play For the experience, for the memories, for the love of the game. Shields.
In case you missed it, you can now watch UND Insider Weekly's top plays of the fall right now. Visit the new UNDsports.com and search the keywords top plays of the fall. Welcome back to Insider Weekly. We're going to talk about what's coming up in UND athletics. We've got basketball, we've got hockey as always. It's that time of year for sure, guys. So let's start with hockey this time. And Brad, Niagara comes to town, the number 59 team in pairwise. This is a no-win situation for North Dakota, isn't it?
Yeah, like I told you on Saturday night, I think this is, it sounds strange to say it, but this is probably the most important series that they will play in the second half of the season, because no series has the ability to damage their pairwise ranking like this one does. So these are going to be two huge games for them. Need to take care of business against this team, otherwise you could be looking at this one come March as one that really affected them.
And we've come to know as well that in the last several years, anybody can step in anywhere and beat anybody.
Yes.
It just happens.
And this team just lost 2 one-goal games to Air Force last weekend, and UND had one-goal game with Air Force, and so could it happen? Yes, it could. Should it? No. They should take care of business this weekend, but this is one where it'll be very important for them to not drop one.
Is this Zane McIntyre's team the rest of the way? Is there any game that he may get a rest in, or is he just going to play the rest of the season? How does it look there?
I wouldn't be totally shocked if Cam Johnson plays one this weekend. He played a little bit better against the U18s. I think they still want to get him in there just in case something happens. I mean, a couple of years ago, Zane was the man, and all of a sudden after the regional game, his foot swelled up a little bit, and he couldn't go in the regional championship. And UND had Clark Saunders to come in, and Saunders was experienced. He was ready to go. He played a really good game against Yale, and they didn't win that game, but just in case that happens, maybe they want to get Cam some reps.
The women go to The Ohio State University, and where are they at this point now?
Well, I mean, at this point, they're not going to get an at-large bid to the NCAA tournament. We know that. They could win the rest of their games. It's not going to happen. So I think right now you want to build some momentum for the end of the season for the tournament. You can still, there's a chance you can win the tournament and get into the NCAAs. And the other thing is the WCHA Final Face-Off is in Grand Forks this year, and you don't want to be sitting at home at that time when they're playing in your building. So I think you want to build as high of a seed as possible, and Ohio State's going to be one of those teams that's key because they're going to fit in the same area in the standings that UND will.
Basketball guys, both playing Northern Colorado. One game this week on Saturday, the women at Northern Colorado, the men at home against Northern Colorado. What can we expect there?
Well, first of all, I think it's probably good that they have a week to kind of address some of the things and have a little time. They don't have that game and turnaround on Thursday where you're traveling. If you're the ladies, you're not traveling on Wednesday to get somewhere to play a game on Thursday. So both teams probably enjoying that they have a few extra days to kind of prep for their showdowns with Northern Colorado. Northern Colorado's women's program is always usually very solid, and so is the men's. So both challenges on the men's side here at the Betty. They want to get something out of this homestand. It was a 3-game homestand to starting last week, and the Bears were able to get some wins on their homestand. They come to Grand Forks now, so North Dakota are trying to desperately get something out of it here at the Betty this weekend.
Tom, can we go must-win for the men's team?
Well, I don't know. You're starting to reach. It's early in the year, but you're starting to reach that point where we touched on it earlier, where UND, the women's side, if they're in that conversation to host at the end of the year, this game with Northern Colorado is probably going to be pretty big. And on the men's side, if you're looking at the end of the year about getting into one of those 8 spots in the conference tournament, a matchup with Northern Colorado is going to be key with that too, because it looks like maybe Northern Colorado is also in that conversation to reach the tournament after that list of maybe 4 teams that are at the top end of that league.
These are getting close. It's getting important this time of the year. It's that time of the year, folks. And coming up, the games, as we mentioned, getting more and more important. And the panel will let us know what they're looking forward to. That's coming up next.
UND Insider Weekly is sponsored by Shields and Grand Forks Cities Area Transit.
fans, come out to the Betty on Saturday afternoon as North Dakota men's basketball takes on Big Sky Conference foe Northern Colorado at 2 p.m. Get your tickets today at the Ralph Engelstad Arena box office or online at UNDsports.com.
College hockey traditions continue, and the 2015 WCHA Women's Final Face-Off returns to the Ralph Engelstad Arena. Competition will be intense, so plan for a fast-paced, fun-filled, and family-friendly weekend of the best of women's college hockey. Affordable ticket packages are on sale now at the Ralph Engelstad Arena box office and online at Ticketmaster.com. The 2015 WCHA Final Face-Off, March 7th and 8th. Get your tickets now.
Welcome back to Insider Weekly. So what are we looking forward to this week, guys? There's lots to watch. Tom?
I'll start with UND women's basketball, a program that may be surprising to lose to out on their West Coast trip. Going to be big for them to get back on track against Northern Colorado.
Brad?
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing the UND women's hockey team out at Ohio State, if they can rebound, if they can put up some offense and get going in the second half of the season. They've been pretty good in the second half of the seasons, with the exception of the Olympic break last year, in charging in the conference tournament. So I'm curious to see if they can get it going against a pretty good Ohio State team.
Well, men's basketball right now, I've been on hand to watch the first two home games, and at many times throughout the game, you thought that they had a great opportunity to get home wins against both Sacramento State and Portland State. I think it is imperative that they get over the hump against a very good Northern Colorado Bears team coming up on Saturday afternoon at the Betty. And on a side note, Arsenal is at Manchester City coming up on Sunday.
I knew that.
In Barclays Premier League action. So, hopefully the Gunners
will be glued to our television.
Yeah, well, it's a morning game. You can watch the NFL playoffs in the afternoon. So I know the Gooners will be watching that one intently, including myself.
I'm looking forward to the weekend series of the men's hockey with Niagara, because Coach Hackstall said after the game, this is the bar we set. This is where we have to maintain our performance. And you're getting a competition in that won't be as good as Minnesota Duluth. Mm-hmm. Can they maintain it? Can they just set aside whoever they're playing and just play their game and play at that level that they need to play to be successful? So it'll be interesting to see if that happens on Friday and Saturday night at the Ralph. All right, thanks, guys. Catch a new episode of UND Insider Weekly next Wednesday at 8 on UNDsports.com and Friday at 5 on Midco Sports Network.